Hey everyone, today we're going to help you fill out your PAL application. So say you completed the Canadian Firearm Safety course or the restricted course, and now you need help filling out your application. Now, a lot of times your applications are delayed or denied because you didn't fill out the application correctly. So we're going through this, make sure you got this correct. So the price of your application changes every March 31st. So I want you to go and find the latest version. So Google RCMP Form 5592E and open that up. Now I recommend you type this all out first, then print it to get all the signatures. And that way it's going to be legible so they can read it. We're going to scroll down to the first part and you have a choice between English and French. I'm going to assume it's English. That's what we're using today. Next box, there's 4 choices. So the very first one is you never had a firearm license. So if you've never had a minor's PAL, you never had a license, this is what you check. Next is I have an expired license. And so say you didn't renew your PAL in time, don't worry, it's good for life. Your Canadian Firearm Safety course paperwork. So check that off and write your old PAL number in that box. Next is you have a firearm license, but you request a different privilege. So say you have just your non-restricted PAL, and then you went and took the restricted course, and you went to upgrade your license. And so you need to write your current PAL number in that box. The next is if you had a minor's PAL, and you want a regular PAL now. So you'd write your minor's PAL in that box and continue filling this out. Next, you fill out what firearms you possess. If you don't have any firearms, just check off I do not possess any firearms. The next is what firearms you want to possess. So you got your choice. So if you have your restricted license, check off non-restricted and restricted. Unfortunately, there's no prohibited course. All right, the next is, are you applying for the Aboriginal Peoples of Canada Adaptations Regulations? Now, if you've ever taken this course, it doesn't apply to you. So there's an exemption in the Firearms Act saying that if there's no firearm courses available or it's too expensive, you can actually get an elder to sign off on your course. And I've never heard of anyone do this. And if you ever have, let me know. But if that applies to you, you'd get the correct form, fill it out, and get your elder to sign off on that, and then include it with this. Next is if you're not a Canadian resident, you would write which province you're going to be using your firearms in too. So you actually don't have to be Canadian to get your PAL. Next is your personal information, and you need to fill this out correctly. If you're writing this out, please write legible, big block letters in black or blue pen. So no pink or gel pens. Okay, your last name, then your first name, and then your middle name if applicable. Next, if you ever change your name, say you got married, then you would fill that out and put your previous name and your last name, previous first name. Place of birth, your date of birth, the country you're born in, and if you're born outside of Canada, the year you're admitted in. Next, pick a gender, write your eye color and your height in centimeters or feet, inches. Contact information, put your daytime phone number, could be your cell phone, could be your work phone number, then your evening telephone number, and then your email address. I strongly recommend writing your email address in here. So now when you buy a firearm, a non-restricted firearm, you have to provide an email address to the seller to initiate what's called an authorization to transfer. If you don't have that email on file, it gets very difficult. Make sure you have your email address on the form. Next is proof of identity. So you need an identification issued by the federal, provincial, or regional government. So driver's license, that's the easiest one, or passport, whatever. Write that in there, write the number. So if it's say you're from Saskatchewan, you're gonna do your driver's license, you would write your customer number in there for identification number. Home address is the next. And this is where you live, the physical location. So say you live on a farm, say you're living at Northwest 12313 west of the 2nd. So you live in an acreage or farm, you'd write that number on, or like your apartment address or the street address of your house. They actually need your physical location. So then you'd write your city, province, country, and then postal code. Next part is your mailing address, so where you get your mail. And if it's the same as your physical address, just check the box. If, say, you live on a farm, acreage, you'd write the postal box that you get your mail to. Next is personal history. So they ask you a lot of personal questions. Have you ever been charged for offense? Things like that. Answer these honestly. If you check yes to anything, you're gonna have to write on a separate sheet. A separate sheet that explaining the reason behind your offense. So, like, say for example, say if someone in your household is prohibited from owning a firearm, the chief firearms office may say you can't store your firearms at your home. You have to store them somewhere else. Next is conjugal status. And your conjugal partner is someone who you're in a serious romantic relationship with. And that could be your spouse, your common law, your husband, wife, whatever. You will have to get them to fill out E if you check yes, if you have a conjugal partner. Next, 17B. So if you have a formal conjugal partner, so within 2 years. So if it's been less than 2 years since they moved out or you've broken up, you would have to check off yes. So information about current conjugal partner. You actually need to get your spouse, your common law, to fill this out and sign it. Okay. Next is information about your former conjugal partner. So say you had a divorce, your spouse, you broke up with your spouse, you actually need to get them to fill this out if it's been less than 2 years. So fill all the information, get them to sign it. G, safety training. So if you've only taken the Canadian firearm safety course, some instructors may call it the PAL course or the non-restricted, you would check yes. Write the province you've taken it in and the year you're taken and proof attached. Now your instructor after your course, in majority of provinces except for Ontario. So Ontario will actually mail your course report after. It might take a month, but majority of provinces, you'll actually get your course report right after and your instructor will hand that to you. I recommend photocopying this and sending the photocopy in. And keep that original safe. Don't send that. Make sure you have a copy of that all the time. Next is the Canadian restricted firearm safety course. So if you're taking the restricted, you would write in the province, the year, and check a proof attached. So I recommend, once again, photocopying that course report and sending it in, the photocopy in with your application. Don't send the original, keep that in a safe spot. All right, 20C. And 20C is maybe just a handful of people who've ever used this. I don't know. I never heard of anyone. So if the Chief Firearms Office certified you before 1995 in Manitoba or Quebec, you would check off yes and then put proof. Never heard of anyone doing that, so it probably doesn't apply to you. Next are your references. And your reference is someone who's known you for over 3 years and is over 18 years old, and it cannot be your conjugal partner. So I recommend pick one of your friends, or actually 2 of your friends, that is easy to get a hold of. And so, like with the non-restricted firearm license, they don't tend to contact your references. With the restricted, they used to contact both. So if the Canadian Firearms Center tries twice and your buddy doesn't answer, they give up, your application is stalled. So make sure you pick someone who is easy to get a hold of and who answers their phone. So get their last name, first name, their phone number, their address, and make sure they sign it and date it. You'll need a second reference as well too. So someone else who has known you for 3 years and is over 18 years old and can't be your conjugal partner. Next is your photo guarantor. So you will need to get a photo taken within 12 months And I usually recommend people go to like Staples or Walmart and get the photo taken. Make sure you tell them it's for a PAL application, not for a passport. They're different sizes. And you can actually take these at home. Stand against a plain white wall, make sure the lighting's really good, no shadows on your face, and get it printed out on photo paper. So you're gonna have to get a photo guarantor. So someone who's known you for over a year, who's over 18 years old, and actually can be your conjugal partner. They'll have to sign. So there's like a little sticker that comes sometimes with your application. They'll have to write your name, their name, and then sign the back of the sticker, and then slap it on the back of your photograph. So make sure you have them sign that and date it. Next are fees. And there's a place there where you can check that you hunt or trap to sustain yourself. And if you do, and that applies, you can have your firearms license cost waived. Now, just to let you know, you check this box, your application will be delayed probably for 1 to 2 months, and it'll be kicked back to the Chief Firearms Office of your province, and they're going to contact you and see if you actually apply for this waiver. Next are your fees. So if you remember, I said that the fees change every March 31st. That's why we made sure we get the current application form. So your fee for non-restricted license, make sure you check off the latest one. Could be like 67, 70 bucks roughly. Then if you're having the restricted course, you check off on the other side for your restricted license. If you're getting your restricted license, you don't pay both. You just pay the $87, $90. Next is your form of payment. Don't send cash. Credit card information, or send a check or money order to the Receiver General for Canada. I recommend a credit card. That way you can see that they processed your application. So write your credit card information in there, sign it, date it. Then last is your declaration. So this is the last thing you have to sign. Don't sign it before everything else. I know everyone gets all excited and then they date it. So that the date on there needs to be the last date or the earliest date. So sign that, make sure it is correct. Now, hopefully you fill this all correctly. You will have to mail this in, and the place you mail this is the RCMP, P.O. Box 1200, Miramichi, New Brunswick, E1N 5Z3. And I recommend sending this registered mail, just so you can track its progress. Make sure they got it. In your envelope, you need your application. So you need your application. You'll also need your photo with the guarantor that signed the back of it, or the sticker and slap the sticker on the back, and your copies of your course report. Make sure you include those too, or else it's going to delay your application. Sign it, put it all in an envelope, seal it, send it off. Now, there's a 28-day cool down period. It just sits on their desk for 28 days. Okay? So that adds to the time it takes to process your application. If it's been 3 months, you can check online the status. And if it's been 3 months, maybe call in, check on things. Maybe your reference didn't answer their phone, or whatever. You made a mistake, you didn't include the right course report, or your photo didn't look right, whatever. So stay on top of it, but wait 3 months. Well, that's it. Hope that helped. If you have any more questions, leave a comment, message me. I'll help you best I can. So good luck.